Have you ever wondered why you get lots of comments on your Facebook post, on your Instagram post, whenever you post pictures of your kids, whenever you post your beautiful selfies, whenever you talk about your life, your husband, the things that you're doing? But the moment you post about your business, the moment you talk about your offer, crickets. All of a sudden, all of those cheerleaders are gone, and there's not one client consistently standing. Have you ever wondered why, on the flip side, you see other people who post about their services and they have dozens of comments? They celebrated yet another successful launch. And you've been looking at what you're doing in comparison to what they're doing, and it seems like you're doing the same thing, but not getting the same results. Well, if you've been wondering these things, in this video, I am going to give you some things to consider that may be the exact reason why you're not getting your desired results on social media. Are you ready? But first, let me tell you a story. Back in 2020, I was consistently posting content on social media. I was posting about my family. I was posting about my husband. I was posting about my kids. I was a teacher at the time. So, of course, I had stories after stories about my experiences in the classroom. And then I was also talking about what I did in business. I worked as a Christian lifestyle coach. That's a different story for another day, as how I got there in comparison to where I am today. But I was helping Christian women accomplish their goals. So, like, the clients that I served had a clear goal. They knew where they were headed, but they did not have a path to get there. They didn't know what the steps look like, or even what steps to take in order to reach their results in partnership with God. And so whenever I posted about the business, I wasn't getting people, those same people who I knew had goals, who were congratulating me on things with Gabriel, Christian, Naomi, things with my husband, Julian, the same people who were laughing at my post about the classroom. I knew that they had goals that I could help them accomplish, but they were not signing up for my program. They were not enrolling in my workshops. They were not joining the things that I was offering. And I was scratching my head trying to figure out what's going on. What's the problem? Well, it took me about a year, honestly, if not more than that, maybe a year and a half, to really get down to the root. And what I found was that I had accidentally, unintentionally created an amazing community of unqualified leads, of people who had problems that I could potentially solve, but had no desire to solve those problems. And also of people who had problems that I absolutely could solve, but who didn't see me as being the person who had the ability to help them get that solution. I had unintentionally built a community around who I was, or like who I am, without also showcasing my authority in my industry, in my assignment in the marketplace. Because I was so much more comfortable just posting content about my kids and posting content about teaching, and every once in a while talking about business. Business wasn't even my main focus back in 2020. So I didn't really understand what it meant to showcase authority, what it meant to build a community of qualified leads, or even how to identify qualified leads. And so what ended up happening was I was building my business and teaching and being a mom and being a wife and also being a daughter of God, most importantly. But I wasn't intentional about how I was operating in my role as a kingdompreneur, as an entrepreneur. And so I was missing out on the opportunity to grow my impact. But I'm still grateful for that season, because in that season, I learned what I can talk to you about. In that season, I learned what I teach my clients about. In that season, I learned what I've now successfully been able to build my authority in. I learned how to show up on social media in a way that allows people to see me as Ashley the wife, and Ashley the mom, and Ashley the businesswoman, and Ashley the devoted servant of God, right? While also still being able to consistently get clients. What's the difference? It wasn't that I stopped talking about my children, right? We just celebrated Christian's birthday on social media back in April, or earlier this month, because this is April. We celebrated Gabriel's birthday back in February. Like, what's the difference? I talk about going to church every Sunday still. I talk about my husband when we go on our date nights and different things that we have going on. What's the difference? The difference is I learned how to be hyper intentional about the kind of content that I create. I learned how to stop just creating content to create it, to check it off my list. Yeah, I posted on Facebook today. Yeah, I sent an email today. And to post content with intention. I learned the difference between content that builds conversation and content that establishes connection, and then intentional conversations with potential qualified leads that then leads to conversions. And so what I want to talk to you about today is the idea that maybe the reason why you're not seeing the sales from your content is not because you don't have any qualified leads in your audience, but because you have not conditioned your audience to see you as the solution to the problem they're looking to solve. Maybe the reason why you don't see the consistent sales when it comes to the content that you're creating and the way you're showing up on social media is because you have not put yourself in position to fill your audience with more qualified leads. Fill your audience with people who have the problem that working with you solves, who are looking for that solution, and who are ready to get results now. So I want you to look at what you've been doing and decide and determine first whether or not you've been managing your audience and you've accidentally turned them into a group of cheerleaders, or if you have actually been intentionally building your audience the way that you're supposed to, right? By showcasing your expertise and showcasing your authority while also showcasing your personality. Because if you have a personal brand, meaning that you're the face of your company, you're the one that people hires, even if you have an agency, like if you're the one who has a relationship with the clients you serve, nothing is wrong with content that's about who you are. Nothing is wrong with creating content about your family or your husband or your church or your values. Nothing is wrong with that, because that actually helps you attract people who align with who you are, and that helps you better align with them. However, if you are not also intentional about creating content that educates, or creating content not that just educates like with how to, because you can actually how to your way out of a client, but content that educates on why my framework works, why what I do is different, why my clients get results, how my clients get results. Case study, educational content. If you are not creating content that engages people intentionally to get them to be pre-sold on working with you, then you're missing out on the opportunity to create a community of qualified leads who are ready to buy from you, right? And the thing is, not only do you need to be intentional about the type of content that you create, but you also need to be hyper intentional about how you are operating in the marketplace, especially online. I know some of you who are watching this, you may not be an online service provider. The women that I typically serve are online service providers. So what that means is like coaches, financial consultants, accountants, people who are graphic designers. They hire me to optimize their activity on social media so that they can 10x their results, 10x their prices, 10x their income, 10x their impact. And so if you are watching this right now and you don't just use social media, that's okay. But what I want you to start to think about is even how you are operating in the marketplace offline. And if you are just on social media, what are you doing to get more qualified leads in your pipeline? How many friend requests are you sending a day? How many networking events do you attend if you are building your business outside of social media? In the last 30 days, how many events have you gone to? If you have an email list, how many times have you sent an email? Because ultimately, it's not enough to say, I've answered God's call to the marketplace. I've shown up on social media. I've given God my yes. I have an offer, but you're not doing the things that get your offer consistently selling. You're not putting in the work that gets your offer into the hands of the people who need it. You're not doing what's required to get your business to its next level, to get your business to its purposed place in partnership with God. Because ultimately, the reason why God wants you to be wealthy, the reason why God wants you to be impactful is because there's healing, because there's breakthrough, because there's an assignment to the work that you do. There's healing in your services. There's breakthrough in your services. There's restoration in your services, in your products. And so you have a responsibility to show up so that God can work through you to reach the things, the places, the people, the environments that you are assigned to for his glory. And so when it comes to why you get people who are raging fans when it comes to your kids or your marriage or you yourself, your church, but they're not consistently investing in your services or they're not consistently buying your products. I challenge you to look at the intention behind the content you're creating and ask yourself, am I creating content that someone would happily buy from because of the value of the content and because of the authority in which I show up in? There has to be no doubt in the minds of your audience that you are the expert. But the way you show that you're the expert, right? Back in 2020, 2021, when I realized what I just talked to you about, I had to stop just creating content about my kids. I had to, even like with Facebook, I had to optimize my Facebook banner. I had to optimize my Facebook bio. I had to put a pinned post that talked about how they can work with me, what my services are, what different type of services I offer. I had to make sure that the link in my bio was very clear and relative to everything that I said I do. And then I had to consistently create content that didn't just speak to everybody. Come on, you all, because sometimes you're creating content and the problem is that you think you're called to serve the nations, like in the sense that you're called to serve the world, when God says there's a specific type of person in the world who gets the best benefit from working with you. And that's not everybody. A business that is trying to serve everybody is a business that is hired by nobody. There's a singular avatar that you are most or best suited to serve in partnership with God, and those are your people, and those are the people that you want to talk to. There are a bunch of people who identify under that avatar, but there's a singular type of avatar that's your person. And so you need to even take some time to get clear on who that is. What's their mindset? What are their habits? What are their beliefs? Their limiting beliefs that are standing in the way of them getting what they desire. What are they doing consistently that's stopping them from getting results? What are they working on right now that they want to get to? And what have they already tried that didn't work? You need to spend just as much time, if not more time, getting to know who your dream client is as you are talking about your offer. Because until you get hyper intentional about serving them, hyper intentional about knowing them, you will miss out on the opportunity to build a relationship with them through your content that leads to connection and conversion, that showcases your authority, that shows that you understand them better than maybe they even understand themselves. You understand the problem that they have, and you have invested in this problem. You have researched this problem. You have gone above and beyond to get this problem solved, right? I think about my mom, right? So my mom battled with breast cancer. And one of the things when it came to her battle with breast cancer is that she had to go to an oncologist, someone who specialized in breast cancer, someone who was an expert with a proven background, with a proven expertise with breast cancer. And then she had to go to a surgeon because she had to get a double mastectomy, right? And so because she had to get a double mastectomy, the surgeon had to make a recommendation. The only way that we were comfortable listening to the recommendation that the surgeon made is because the surgeon proved himself to be an expert in breast cancer and double mastectomies. And the surgeon was able to say, when I do your surgery, this is what I recommend we do. I recommend that we go in and we remove this tissue and we remove this tissue in this way. And the reason why we remove this, and the surgeon had a robust amount of knowledge and a robust amount of almost like intel on the body, never having met my mom before, but understanding her situation because the surgeon took his time to study her case and to get to know exactly where the cancer was and what needed to be done for the cancer to be removed. In that small amount of time, a trust was built in that surgeon's authority, and that is what led to my mom having a successful double mastectomy. Thank God. You understand? So I want you to start to think about you, the content that you create, the way that you show up, the conversations that you are curating, the community that you're building, and ask yourself, am I really doing what's required to get the results that I desire? Am I really putting in the work? Am I really talking about what I need to be discussing in order to show my dream client, in order to show my audience that I am the expert, that I am the authority, that I know how to get them the results that they desire, that they are actively seeking? I know how to solve the problem with my service or with my product to get them the solution. And by solving that problem, they get the outcome that they want. You understand? Right? And so when you are thinking about what this looks like in your business, I want you to start to look not from your perspective. Put yourself in the shoes of the people that you want to be hired by. If I was someone who didn't know me and I came to my Facebook page, would I know what I do? Would I know who I serve? Would I know how I serve them? When I work with my private clients, these are the types of things that we audit. These are the types of things that I look for in their content on their social media pages, because ultimately, this is what buyers are looking for too. There are indicators, kind of like flags, green flag, that shows them, oh, she's for real. You got the case studies, you have the testimonials, you have your explanation of your framework, your process, your system. You talk about it relentlessly. You're constantly addressing the problems that your dream clients have, and you're showing them why those problems exist. You're helping them understand what they need to do differently in order to get their desired result. And then you're showing them how hiring you expedites that process. That's how you captivate them. That's how you convert them. That's how you stop attracting just a community of cheerleaders and you start attracting champions and people who are clients. Champions, shout out to Deanna Jean, the collab queen. Champions are the people who are going to tell everybody about you. Champions are the people who are going to say, hey, that's Stephanie. Stephanie's a masterful brand strategist. Or that's Tiffany. Tiffany's an amazing, she has an amazing hair care oil. Or hey, that's Felicia. Felicia's an excellent real estate person. Or hey, that's Tony. Tony's an amazing attorney. You see, because of what you do and the authority you stand up in, they can't help but to tell everybody about you. But if your page is full of mom and husband, right? You being the mom and you having a husband and you and your date night and your church, and it's not showing your authority, it's not showing your thought leadership, not just what's going on in your industry, but what you think about it. Not just what's happening around in other people's businesses if you serve business owners, but what your perspective is, what your experiences have been. The difference between everybody else and you is literally you. Everybody else who does what I do, the difference between what they do and what I do is that I'm the one who's doing it. So I can add in my unique personality, my unique experiences, my unique testimony, my unique perspectives. That's what takes your content. That's what takes your social media page. That's what takes your conversations from general, from black and white to colorful. From like everybody else's to exclusively and specifically just like you. Because you're different. God called you to the marketplace not to blend in, but to stand out in the fullness of your authority. And so in order for you to do that, you've got to become the woman who shows up and dominates the marketplace by genuinely being the best. And the way that you show up as the best is by creating content, by creating conversations, by curating community, not just based around who you are, but also based around what you do and why you are the best one to get it done. So until next time, I pray that this video encouraged you. I look forward to reading your comments. If you have watched the video and learned from it, make sure you leave me a comment below, letting me know what stood out to you, what new thoughts came to your mind, and I look forward to catching you next time. Enjoy the rest of your day.